Right, so next up, Neil, Google SEO. I love Google as a platform. You can make a lot of money for your, not just your Amazon business, but for, it doesn't matter where you're really selling, Etsy or eBay or wherever it may be. You can make a lot of money by running ads on Google, specifically the shopping, if you're able to, which is all this stuff here. If you've got yourself a Shopify website, God almighty, that is such a good place to go run ads. But most people don't realize that most of the other product related searches that happen online, they happen on Google. So in the USA, 51% of all product related searches happen on Amazon. That means 49% happen somewhere else. The majority of them happen on Google. So you ought to be running, what that tells you is you ought to be running advertisements in one way or another on Google. Well, on Google, there's two ways of advertising. There's the paid route, which is either through search marketing like that, or there's the Google shopping route, which is on this right rail just here, what's called the right rail, or these kind of things just here, super cool. Or there's this one, which is the organic SEO route. And as far as Google goes, on average, if there's 100 people searching on Google, then 30 of them will click on a paid ad, and 70 of them will prefer to click on organic search result. Okay. There's a whole raft of psychological reasons behind that, but suffice to say, that's the results. Okay, that's the data. So it makes sense, therefore, to be in both, to do paid and also to do organic SEO based results. Okay, search engine optimization. So I thought it'd be kind of neat to give you a SEO optimization checklist for Google SEO. Now this is gonna presuppose, for the most part, that you've got your own website, because Amazon listings do rank incredibly well on Google, but you need to juice it typically by purchasing backlinks and building something called a link wheel, which is a little bit more advanced. That's something we do for our diamond clients, build link wheels for them, and they work ludicrously well. You can rank really, really well using that. But if you don't want to do that, and you also want to have your own website, what should you be doing? This is what you should be doing. So starting from the top, I'm going to give you these links as I go through them. You should absolutely register your website, send to all, on the Google Search Console. You absolutely have to do that. It is the single most important thing for SEO to get found and indexed that you can do. So I put that first because it's the most important thing. If you're watching the video, Google Search Console. Google Search Console, and that's where you'll come to. Okay, so do that absolutely. Next thing, you want to add what's called a site map to your website. So this is all of the ones that Google says are good. Again, I'll share that with everybody, send to all, but you can just get that to Google code sitemap generators. Sitemap generators. So just Google that. Google code sitemap generators, and that will get you all of these, and that's all the ones that Google says are good to use. But the one, if you've got a WordPress website, that I suggest you use is just go to wordpress.org, and the plugin is actually called Sitemap. That's what the plugin is called. Doink. Doink. And it's a really, really good plugin. Fantastic. And these are all in order of importance, okay? Next most important thing is to have SSL for your website. So single secure layer socket for your website, which is basically now that stops hackers and nefarious bastards stealing data from people trying to access your website. It stops them getting between that transaction of them accessing your website. It's super important to have, and Google will reward you for having SSL as your main thing, and you get disadvantaged by not having it. So you basically have to have it now. For buying domains, and you should buy it from the same place you buy a domain. So in Australia, for all things Australian related, I use Crazy Domains. They are not the cheapest. However, their customer support is unbefrickin-leavable. Like, their customer support is outstandingly good. And if you're trying to install SSL on your website by yourself, you will need some customer support. Crazy Domains customer support is awesome. I use these guys all the time, even though it cost me a few more dollars to buy a domain name from them, like $6 more. The customer support you get is insanely good. So I use them. Lots of people saying they're the best. They are the best. And then for anything else, for any other country, like .co.uk, .com, .de, .fr, no matter what it is, I use Namecheap. Okay, so .com.au domain names, buy from Crazy Domains. All other domain names I buy from Namecheap, and they've also got very, very good customer support. Their SSL stuff is super cheap as well. Okay, super important. Next most important thing for SEO is image compression. So here is a free image compressor, and that's at imageresizer.com. Imageresizer with a Z.com. They will compress your images, make them website ready. It'll speed up your website no end, and that's one of the big things for SEO as well, is page load times. The slower your page loads, the more you're penalized and the less you show up in the search. So you want to make sure that, and the easiest way to do that is just by making sure your images are optimized. Along with images being optimized as far as the compression goes, when you're setting up your images, you want to use what's called alt tags to make sure that your images are SEO optimized as well. Why have I got this up? Other than the fact that this is something I love. Why have I put this up? Oh yeah, so that's why I put this up. When you are putting together your website, so let's just click on this. You put together your website and you create what's called folders. Now, a folder is, so that first part of the website there, hopefully you can see that, is the main URL of the website. And then it's got a /, and then it's got product page, which is, I think, redundant to have that there. Insane to have that there. And then it's got the actual thing that's being sold, which is all in Portuguese. But that's the thing being sold, okay? All that yummy, yummy, raw dog food. So when you're structuring your website, 2 folders, so that is folder number 1, and here's folder number 2, is the most that you should have. Google does not like more than 2 folders. So when you're laying things out, try your best not to have it. I mean, really, this product page here is a redundant folder to have. They could have done away with that, and their website would get found much more easily online. Okay. Next, is this. When you're setting out your post names, so this one is called Refasau, Vaca, Tripa, Verde, Paracau, blah, 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 blah. Portuguese, Portuguese, Portuguese. So when you're setting out all of that, The way you do that is here. So you can have lots of different ways of laying out how you structure your posts. The one you definitely want to avoid is day and anything with a day or a month in it or a date in it, like that or like that. Avoid all of that and instead just have it as the post name. So this is post name. It's not got any date in it or anything like that. And that is what's best as well, to not have the post name, not have date and time in it, just have the actual post name in it. That's the best layout from SEO point of view, and also for readability and all sorts of other shit as well. That's the best way to do it. Final thing, you want to install Yoast SEO plugin and utilize that. It's a really, really good plugin. I use Yoast all the time. There is a professional version of it, but in truth, you don't need it. The free plugin for WordPress is awesome. And so that is, in order of importance for SEO, a really good SEO, for Google specifically, checklist. Can you post the image resizer in the chat? Yes, I can. Doink, doink, doink. So if you're watching this on the recording, it's at imageresizer with a Z.com. Image resizer with a Z. Can you post in chat? Who do you use for hosting? I actually own my own domain hosting company. I've owned that for freaking hell, years, like 10 years I've owned a domain hosting company. So I, of course, get to use my own domain hosting company. Who should you use? Well, Crazy Domains. Use the same person you buy your hosting from. So Namecheap or Crazy Domains both do very, very good hostings. That's who I would use. I use A2 hosting. So here's another one. A2 hosting. This is what Yvette is using. Here we go, A2 hosting. GoDaddy, says Rosie. So it's $2.99 a month. Look, that's going to be a shared IP address, but still. You said GoDaddy, Rosie. GoDaddy. Dum, dum, dum. I used to do so much SEO, just insane amounts of SEO. It's all in Portuguese, but just ignore that. Let's put it into Canadian instead. That'll do. They're good too. Bluehost is good. G Suite is good. iPage is good. NetRegister is good. There you go. Lots and lots of tips for that. That video was taken from my normal Monday night open forum Q&A session where the 2,000 plus members of the Aussie online entrepreneurs jump on a call together and they just ask me heaps and heaps of questions and I answer for them live. If you'd like to find out more about joining us at the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs, we've got over 2,000 members and growing. We're the fastest growing e-commerce community here in Australia. Then you can find out more by going to www.aussieonlineentrepreneur.com.au. See you next time.